couple months ago, I had this thought that I'm going to be a millionaire. There was no resistance. There was no asking where, what, any of that. It was just the truth. I don't have millions, but it's coming. This week, and what I want to do is talk with you about like this, where I turn that off.
Say again?
Where I turn that off. So let me give you an example. So this week, I get to LAX. I was here for work all week. I go to the hotel, Marriott, $150 for the room. I'm happy. Parking was $50. I went nuts. Like, I don't usually go nuts, but it was like, this really bothered me. And so I had to say something to the valet guy, and I had to say something to the manager. You know, I was just like, it was beyond me. And then she comped it, and that felt okay, but it didn't feel right. I felt like I don't want to have to go through something like that to get that.
Well, not only that, it completely distorted how the universe works.
Exactly.
You threw a fit.
I did.
And then someone who doesn't like to see fits being thrown adjusted things, which sort of gives you the impression, as it does all people who have both feet stuck in the manifestational world rather than in the vibrational reality world. It gave you the impression that that's how you get what you want. You throw a fit. And then other people compensate because it gives you the impression that the goods are held by other humans who have been withholding them for you, and that they hold the key to whether you get it or not. But they can only yield to you or withhold from you in really mediocre terms. The big stuff never comes through fit throwing.
Right. And so my concern is, by focusing on that, am I slowing down? I know I'm slowing down, but help me with this, like, first getting over that.
Don't throw fits.
What if
Do you have any other questions?
No, but what if I don't want to pay $50 for parking? How can I manifest that?
Go somewhere else.
I like that hotel.
Then pay the $50 and don't throw the fit. These are the cooperative components. I want the red dot to connect to the red dot, but now it's in the way of the blue dot. Well, I don't want the blue dot to be in the way of the red dot. Well, then figure it out. Figure it out. There's a way to figure it out. There's a way to get it all. That the path isn't through manipulating others and getting them to give in or to compensate for you. The way to it is by finding a way to be satisfied anyway. And in satisfaction, you will then be guided. The impulse will come to give you whatever you want. Now, there are two ways that you're looking at this. We can feel your thoughts in the room. There are two things that you think would be the result of changing the way you look at it. In other words, find a way to feel satisfied. And so some are thinking, well, then one solution then would come is that he would still pay the $50, but he wouldn't mind it. And another group are thinking, the hotel will stop charging so much for parking, so he will only have to pay nothing. Nothing pretty much trumps something, doesn't it? Esther discovered that she can't charge little enough for the recordings to keep people from just stealing them and putting them online for nothing, because nothing always trumps. In other words, maybe I could charge $9 or $8 or $7 or $6, but if she's even charging $1, there are those that will say, well, nothing is better than $1. And so the two solutions that most humans find is that either the Marriott will stop overcharging for its parking, which seems like a solution, or I will have so much satisfaction going on that I'm not bothered by the fact that they are. And we want to call your attention to yet a third solution. If you are determined to feel satisfied, so you're not willing to give away your satisfaction based upon something that you have no control over. You think you've got control because somebody tried to bend the laws of the universe by responding to your fit, which just teaches you to throw a fit and throw a fit and throw a fit and throw a fit and throw a fit. So you keep getting little crumbs of finances while you feel miserable the whole way. And miserable is a long way from satisfied. But if you were to bite the bullet and be happy for just a little while, we know it's a big price to pay. But if you were to really care about feeling satisfied, what would happen is abundance would flow in, and the $50 would feel irrelevant to you in the scheme of all of the abundance that is flowing to you. So you could, for example, you could acknowledge, let's get your yellow pad out, and it's first thing in the morning, and we've inspired you to write your pad, and you think the Marriott charged $50 for parking. This just seems like price gouging, and it just feels like such unfairness. And I can't change it, let's say. I can't throw enough fits to really solve that all the time. And so I want to find some way of soothing myself. So I'm going to try to take that subject, that prickly, annoying, maybe even more than annoying subject of dissatisfaction and beyond. And I'm going to see if I can find any satisfaction in it. So, because you want to feel better, you go down that path and you think, most things are about supply and demand. And clearly, there's not unlimited parking. And so they've got to find some way of sorting it out. Would I feel better having no parking available because they've given it all away to all the people that got here first, because there was no way for people to discriminate? If Esther charged nothing for this seminar, there would be no room for the majority of you who are here now. The supply and the demand. If there was no charge for the parking, it may have very well been all filled up and no place for you to park at all. Is that more or less satisfying? Well, that's less satisfying. I am appreciative that there was a place for me to park. They could just get so tired of people complaining about the parking situation. People that aren't willing to pay for the cost of the parking structure, who aren't willing to pay for the security of the parking structure, who don't care about the maintenance of the parking structure, who don't care about the maintenance. The management could just be so tired of dealing with people who are so upset about parking that there could just be no more parking. Would that be more satisfying? No, that's less satisfying. Well, what's more satisfying? Parking. Well, how can I soothe that? So it's only the money and the parking that's bothering me. So is it really what they're charging? Because there are all kinds of things that you can spend your money on. Are you throwing a fit over Esther remembers finding a blouse many, many years ago that cost so much money and she could not afford it. And she was furious with the department store that they would have the gall to ask that much money for something that she really wanted that she couldn't afford. It was like, how wrong can you be? Why would you do that to me? Why would you cause me to want something that I believe I can't have? I believe I cannot park with ease. I believe that I cannot afford to park with ease. My feeling about my personal prosperity is such that I cannot buy for myself ease. I have to buy for myself instead suffering. I'll park 10 miles away and I'll walk in. I'll Uber in. I'll Uber in. I'll Uber in. Then I don't have any parking to do. I'll Uber in. What? You want $65 to get from the airport to the hotel? Are you crazy? You got to let them do whatever they're doing, and you got to decide that you can't find your happiness by controlling them, because there's always going to be another one that is uncontrollable. All you can control is your relationship with your prosperity, and that's what this is about. This is about your relationship with your prosperity. It's not about how much parking costs. It's about your relationship with your prosperity. And that blessed contrasting, overcharging parking garage pointed out to you the imbalance in you about your financial abundance and prosperity. It just showed you that you're not in balance yet. You're still wanting others to do the adjustments so that you can be prosperous. I want the whole world to charge less for everything, and then I'll be rich. If everybody would just give everything away, then I wouldn't need money that I don't have.
So to continue that story, the company paid the money, so it's not even mine, A. B, the next day I went to another Marriott, and again, they had $15 parking there. They never charged me. Then the third Marriott I went to charged me $30, but I decided at the counter, I wanted peace more than I wanted to be upset about parking. And then when I got here this time, the nice guy comped me. And I just said, oh. And he said, that's okay, I'll take care of it. So it felt
Just
like...
out of the blue?
Just out of the blue. I said, oh, that's a little high. And he goes, yeah, I know.
No, so it wasn't out of the blue. You expressed your lack full prosperity consciousness and expected someone to yield to you. And that will get you a little ways down the road, but it won't make you rich.
So the thing is just to surrender all that. Just surrender that whole process, that thinking.
Maybe surrender is the right word, but a better word is decide that the way you feel is what matters the most. You see, what you're describing here is what a lot of people are doing. It's a very conditional response to life. You charge me too much, I will respond with negative emotion. If you charge me just right, I will respond with more positive emotion. So my emotion is controlled by what you do, which means I'm in a world of hurt all the time because I got to control you. Now, I'm good. I'm developing my skill at getting free parking. I show up, I act a little irritated, and then you comp me. So I've got my conditional living down pretty good. And when I'm living in a world where that's the way we play the game, the more we complain, the more people who don't want to fight yield. The more people who believe that the customer's always right give the complaining customer what they want. But that complaining customer holds himself in a state of constant aggravation and pushing against. It's a price far too great to pay. Because while you're saving $15 or $50 on parking, you're cutting yourself off from the resources, from the replenishment of source energy, from the good ideas, from the flow of life, from being in sync with your inner being who knows where all the treasures are that you've got buried in your vibrational reality. That's really what we're wanting you to hear. Anybody can win. If you're playing a tug of war in a physical world and you got people on each end of a rope and you've got this line that you're trying to drag each other across, the most determined ones, the ones with the most muscle, the ones that, in other words, it's easy to understand why one group would win a battle over another group. But this goes back to the question that we were talking about earlier. You didn't come to battle against one another. You came to make peace with your own alignment. You came to make peace with your own inner being. You came to utilize the leverage that the universe has already lined up for you. You see, you forget your worthiness when you fight with pettiness over peanuts. It's like you forget how worthy you really are. When you are demanding of what comes to you, you've forgotten what's being offered to you. You forget that not only is it just being offered to you, it's being offered to you in specific proportion and in perfect accuracy of detail of everything that your life has caused you to ask for. If you could see the vortex that you've created and understand the care with which your inner being is aware of it, and understand that your inner being knows each and everything that you've asked for and you're deserving of all of it and knows your vibrational relationship to every bit of it. If you could just accept that a little bit or just find a reason to feel satisfied and watch how much the universe yields to you, it is our promise to you that you will stop feeling like you need to nitpick over who else is doing whatever they're doing. You see, what happens is when you've got your feet in this physical world, you want so much for them to get you. That's why you complain to the valet guy, and then you complain to the front desk, and then you complain to the manager. You'd go all the way to the Supreme Court if you could, in order to get them to get you, because you're so sure that you are right. And what we want you to understand is you can be absolutely right with the facts and crossways of your own vibration, because it doesn't matter how right you are, this wadded up anger and negative emotion is preventing you from your connection with what really will lead you to all of the ultimate things that you've been asking for. There is no giant right and wrong in the sky. There's just you letting in what you're asking for and you not letting in what you're asking for. And when you're demanding it of other people, you're not even beginning to let it in because they don't hold the keys to your kingdom. You do. And your emotion is letting you know whether you're flowing in the direction of all the resources that are all lined up for you or whether you're pulling against them. And oh boy, we understand. Nothing makes you feel more like throwing a fit than moving away from who you really are. Nothing makes you feel more justified in your anger than to be pinching off the resources, especially when you've thought as much as you've thought and you've put as much as you've put there and you care as much as you care. Nothing feels worse than moving in opposition to that. And there's not enough comp tickets in the world to compensate for moving away from what you naturally will receive.